Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about solving two-step equations. So the goal of doing this is to isolate the variable by itself. That variable can be x, it could be y, it could be h, it doesn't matter what the variable is. So basically, what we want to do is we want to get all the variables on one side and all the numbers on the other side. So in the first question, it's 3x plus 5 equals 17. So the first thing that we undo is the plus 5. So we subtract 5 from the other side, so that becomes 3x is equal to 17 minus 5. So 3x is equal to 12. And the next thing we undo is it's 3 times x, so the opposite of multiplying by 3 is dividing by 3. So x is equal to 12 divided by 3, which is 4. Here, let's try this one. So if I were to think about this one, it's x divided by 3 minus 8 equals 2. So I want to go backwards. So the last thing I said was subtract 8, so I'm going to add 8 to the other side. So it's x divided by 3 is equal to 2 plus 8, which is 10. And then it's x divided by 3, the opposite of dividing by 3 is multiplying by 3. So x is equal to 10 times 3, which is 30. Now, sometimes we need to distribute or expand the brackets before you can solve a two-step equation. So here, there's a 2 in front. So we're going to multiply everything in the bracket by 2. So you get 4x plus 8 plus the 6x is equal to 28. So like I said, we're going to keep all the x's on one side and we're going to move all the numbers to the other side. So I get 4x plus 6x is equal to 28 minus 8. 4x plus 6x is 10x, and 28 minus 8 is 20. I divide both sides by 10. Remember, we can write it like this if that makes you comfortable. So then you get x is equal to 2. So again, step 1, distribute. Step 2, collect like terms. So all the variables go on one side, all the numbers go on the other. And lastly, solve. So here are some examples. We start with basically the one-step equations that we did last time. You'll notice here for, let's say, 5, 6, 7, and 8, that there might be a couple of steps involved. So I'd like you to try these questions. I want you to pause the video, try these questions 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'll come back to take care of them. So you'll see the work that I've put up on the page right now, and you'll notice that I've written a few steps in, which is great. I've showed my work and I've double checked that everything is all right. Now let's look at number 5. Number 5 is going to tell us how to do 6, 7, and 8. So I have 2/3 times x is equal to 10. Another way to say that is 2 times x divided by 3 is equal to 10. So basically what I'm saying is on the other side, 10, if I'm dividing by 3 on one side, I'm multiplying by 3 on the other. And if I'm multiplying by 2 on one side, I'm dividing by 2 on the other. So x comes out to be 15. So take a moment, try 6, 7, and 8. So pause the video and come back and see how you did. So how did you do? Were you able to get 6, 7, and 8? How many of you noticed that I have a negative sign here, but I only have one negative? How come I didn't give a negative to both the top and the bottom? Remember that a negative in front of a fraction means you can apply it either to the top or the bottom. It doesn't really matter. So if I want to create a little rule for myself here, when I'm dealing with fractions, to quote unquote get rid of a fraction, I want to multiply by the reciprocal, which means you flip the fraction. Okay? Now, what I want you to do is I want you to give a moment to try questions 9 to 16. I'm going to give you an opportunity to do that. So pause the video and then come back and check your work. I'd like you to try 9, 10, 11, and 12 first. So how did you do? Check questions number 9, 10, 11, and 12. How come I wrote more steps, or what you might say as an extra step, in question 11 and 12? Why did I do that? Well, more than anything, it was to make sure that I got the signs in the correct place. So I took the 9 and I subtracted it from the other side. And on this side, I took the 7 and I subtracted it on this side. So it was really important that I want to make sure that my signs, whether they be with the variable or not, are actually in my favor. I want to make sure I didn't lose anything in moving things across the equal sign. All right. Now in question 13, 14, 15, and 16, you'll notice that I have thrown in some fractions. Again, pause the video, give them a try, and then I'm going to show the steps to the answer. Well, how did you do this time? So take a look, see how your answers are. So for the first one, number 13, I added 7. So I got 9 plus 7 gave me 16, and multiplied by 2 to get 32. On this side, I subtracted 8, so 11 minus 8 is 3, and then I multiplied by -5, and I got -15. Now notice, on this side, x is on this side of the equation, and then x moves to this side of the equation. Well, why am I allowed to do that? Well, sometimes students find writing it this way is a little bit weird. Most math people don't write the variable on the right side. We write it on the left side, and then we say it's equal to something. So mostly it's just because it looks better, but this is totally right as well. So don't feel bad about that. 28 minus 22 is 6, and then I multiplied by the reciprocal, which was multiplied by 5 and divided by 3, and I got my answer of 10. This next one, I want you to be really careful. This is where the mistake's going to happen. -7 minus 1 gives me -8. Most people are going to change that to -6. So we want to be careful about that. And then I multiply by -3, and 2 negatives make a positive, so my answer is 24. If you're doing well so far, that's amazing. I'm really happy to hear that. I would like you to try the next set of questions. So there are 9 here. I want everybody to give them a go. I'd say they should take about 2 minutes each. So a total of 18 minutes. Give yourself that time and come back and check to see how you did. Okay, so you'll notice that I've taken the time to write out the answers or the full solutions. I want you to take a moment and look at the first 6. So the first one, I added 7 and then divided by 4. And the next one, I added 2 and then multiplied by 3. In the next one, you'll notice that I did this. Well, and I didn't do it here, so I didn't divide by 4 and divide by 4. So again, this is a personal habit. It's not necessarily something that everybody does. I think some people, when they initially learned how to solve using algebra, this is what their teacher taught them. I think you get to a certain point at which you don't necessarily need to write that out, but that's a personal preference. There is, again, like I said, nothing wrong with writing it out. I just want you to be aware that some people won't, and so that you'll need to notice what it is that they're doing. In the next one, I add 2 and divide by -5. Again, look here. So in this question, A is on the right-hand side. I moved it to the left-hand side, so A is still equal to -6, and this is by habit. So either answer is correct, okay? There's nothing wrong with either of them. But if you look at the next one, I immediately said Q is equal to 15. I didn't write it 15 is equal to Q. I didn't do that. So again, this is a personal preference thing. Most math people will often put the variable first and then the equal sign and then the number. That's habit. In number 6, I added 7. This is probably where the most common mistake is going to happen, is right here. So minus 14 plus 7, you're going to get a lot of strange answers there. But it's negative 7, and when you multiply by 3, you get negative 21. Okay, the last 3, so questions 7, 8, and 9. I really like these questions because this is where people start to make like little mistakes. So I want you to take a moment here, and I'm going to multiply everything in the bracket by 2. So 2 times 4x is 8x, and then 2 times 3 is 6. The most common mistake is to forget that 6. Okay, then again, you subtract 6, you get 16, and then you divide by 8, and you get 2. You'll notice this one, the next one, number 8, does not have any brackets. So this one's a pretty straightforward one. I'm going to collect all the variables on one side, all the numbers on the other. I chose, instead of writing 4x plus 8x is equal to 41 minus 5, I chose to add the 4 and the 8 right away and say 12x. That's allowed. That's okay. In the last one, 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times 1 is 3. By far the most common mistake is to either forget to multiply or to tell me that 3 times 1 is 1. So just be careful. Just make sure that you're watching your multiplication, that you're watching your distribution, that you're making sure that you catch everything that could lead to a silly mistake. Awesome. So what I want you to do now is make sure that you've got the homework. If you have any questions, please make sure you visit the math clinic upstairs. I will be back soon, and I will be able to answer your questions. If something is urgent, just shoot me an email and copy in the question, write it out for me, and I can send you a response by email. Thanks, guys.